this has been exhausting so far. The only thing I can really say is I've put like 15 or 1600 miles behind me, and we're so far from done. We're at the end of week 1 pretty much right now, and we've got 7 to go. Let's put that intensity aside for a second. Hi, my name is Nick, and this is the story of how I drove across the United States. So there I was, sitting at my campsite in North Dakota. And like I said before, we're already a week in, and a few interesting things have happened. So let's backtrack a little. I love starting a new adventure, and this one was going to be quite spectacular. Over the next 2 months, I was going to drive from my home in Connecticut all the way to the opposite coast in California. Oh yeah, and then I would be driving home, but that isn't important right now. I spent the first few days driving pretty much non-stop. I stopped maybe once or twice to do some sightseeing. The first thing I really went out of my way for was Lake Erie. After spending the night in the car, I was ready to hit the road again. And I was not excited to start this part of the drive. From looking at a map of the US, I knew that for the next 2 days, I was going to be driving through mainly flat, featureless farmland. It started out as a pretty smooth ride. Then the rain started. And then I sat in traffic for a while. 6 hours to be exact. Oh, and did I mention that everything around me was flat? I didn't have any damn scenery to admire while I was sitting still. Overall though, it wasn't too bad. The weather and traffic would eventually clear, but the landscape would stay flat. After enduring all this, I needed to relax, so I grabbed a hotel room for the night. I woke up the next morning, got myself cleaned up, and then hit the road again. And overall, it was a pretty boring day of driving. Until the sunset came along. I watched as a wall of rain swept across the orange-tinted plains ahead of me. It was truly incredible, even if it didn't last very long. The next day was similar to the last, for the most part. I reached the state of Minnesota, and as you can see, the landscape was no longer entirely flat. The day was mostly spent driving, as I was finally enjoying it again. But aside from that, I had finally found something else to do. I managed to find a great viewpoint, and after scouting it out earlier in the day, I decided to stick around for sunset. After the sunset, I drove a few more hours to my next campsite. And upon arriving, I set up my tent and got some well-needed rest, only to immediately take my tent down in the morning and continue on. It was a pretty uneventful day, but I had finally reached my campsite in North Dakota. And at this point, we've finished recapping, so it's time to get into the more fun parts of the trip. But first, we'll talk about my very brief time at this campsite. I sat around for a little while, burnt the hell out of a couple of steaks due to poor technique, enjoyed my totally botched meal, and set up my tent for another beautiful night. Not long after this, it was time to enjoy the sunset. Oh yeah, and then I checked the time. Apparently, this time of year, the sun sets at 10:30 p.m. The next morning, I took my tent down like usual, and before long, you guessed it, I was back on the road. Okay, so now we're gonna start taking things a little slower on the trip. We're gonna be doing a lot more sightseeing. So for right now, we're at Theodore Roosevelt National Park at Painted Canyon. So we're gonna go give this a look real quick, and looks pretty cool from here, from what I can see from the car, but let's go get a closer look. After admiring the canyon for a short time, I started driving again. Alright, so your boy's an idiot. As you can tell, I'm not in the car. I'm actually in a pretty sweet hotel room. And reason for that is, so I was running low on gas earlier and I went to go to a gas station to fill the tank, obviously. And I couldn't find my wallet. I was like, oh shit, I lost my wallet. Okay, that's cool, whatever. Not cool, internally freaking out, borderline heart attack. You know, so didn't have any of my credit cards, didn't have my driver's license, didn't have anything. So I ripped the car apart, couldn't find it, and I was like, oh god, you gotta be kidding me. So, luckily, on my phone, I had my debit card saved. I booked a hotel room, and I was like, okay, I'll be in a hotel for a couple days while I figure things out. You know, I can't go anywhere really, because I don't have gas in the car, and I don't have money, I don't have a card, I can't, you know, actually do anything with it. But then an hour later, after my head was a little clearer, I went and I searched the car again, and I found my wallet. So I'm all set for now, but I still have the hotel room booked. So, staying here at least tonight. I don't know, this was more of a knee-jerk reflex to a situation I thought I was in, which I'm very glad I'm not. But yeah, anyway, I think Mount Rushmore tomorrow, and then from there we might either go to Montana or Wyoming, quite possibly. Yeah. For some reason after this, I recorded a tour of my hotel room. But it's not like it's the Four Seasons. It's a Super 8, so we're gonna skip that part. The next day it was time to pick up where I left off on the journey, which means it was finally time to see Mount Rushmore. My time spent at the monument would be short. And from here I would go looking for a campsite. Somehow, I got lucky and found a campsite 10 minutes away from Mount Rushmore. And after spending the night, I would receive a friendly tip about exploring a nearby park. So, left the campsite I was staying at this morning. I was talking to some people at the campsite next to me, and they were saying that this state park nearby, Custer State Park, I could see some buffalo. I've never seen buffalo in person before, well, outside of a zoo, so I decided I'd drive around here, check out the scenery, and see some buffalo. So there's a road called the Wildlife Loop, and I'm just gonna do that. Should take me a little while, and then we're moving on to Wyoming, I believe, after that. really seen too much yet. No buffalo yet. One goat so far, and then I just pulled into this little pull-off here, and there's apparently a bunch of donkeys you can pet. I might just go do that real quick, and then... No, it's a pretty cool area, though. It's been a really nice drive so far, and no joke, it looks like the Windows XP desktop background out here. You don't seem very friendly. Oh, I don't have anything to feed. Oh. What about you? How friendly are you? Okay, that was pretty cool. They kind of didn't want anything to do with me because I wasn't giving them food. Everyone else was feeding them. It was kind of funny because each donkey is a little bit picky. There were like donkey foods or whatever. People were giving them apples and then like other donkey foods, but some of them didn't like the apples, some of them didn't like the foods. It was really funny, but yeah, anyway, let's get moving on from here and let's go see if we can find some buffalo. Looks like I just found some. Whole herd of them right out there. After seeing the buffalo, it was time to leave the park. After enjoying the park for the day, it was time to rest. Time to relax. Little did I know, the next drive would be one of my favorites of the whole trip. short while later, I would arrive at my campsite in the Shoshone National Forest. There was just a small problem now. I was out of gas, so it was time to go find some. So I stopped in this little town to get gas, and apparently there's a fireworks show tonight because it's the 4th of July. I kind of am losing track of time out here, but I'm always home for the 4th of July. There's always a big fireworks show, and this is the first year I'm really missing it, so I might as well stick around for this one and see what it's like. This is Cook City. You can see the entire town from the main street, and according to some guy at my campground, they just got an internet connection in 2020. The main street was shut down for a block party that had live music. But the biggest reason everyone was here was the fireworks. Cook City was a fascinating little town. The town's slogan is, "The coolest small town on earth." And while I can't confirm it, it certainly did leave an impression on me. The next day, I was bound for Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks. Entering Yellowstone was like entering a gateway into another world. Once again, the desert morphed into sandy hills, which gave way to rocky cliffs, and then the remnants of a scorched forest bordering a crystal clear lake. It was nothing short of captivating. Not only was the scenery changing every couple of minutes, but there was also a lot more wildlife. I was blown away by everything I had seen so far, and then I entered Grand Teton National Park. Okay, checked in my campsite last night in Grand Teton National Park, slept for the night. I've got a couple more nights here, so I'm gonna spend some time exploring the park, seeing what there is, and taking a lot more photos, I think. It took me 6 hours to finish a 2-hour drive yesterday just because I was stopping every 2 minutes to take photos or to see something. So hopefully a bunch more of that today and probably tomorrow and the day after. So we'll see. This park is pretty incredible so far. I'd say this is definitely my favorite place so far just because the Teton Range is pretty insane to look at. So I'm gonna get going for the day. Definitely do a bunch of driving around and sightseeing, maybe a little bit of hiking, but we'll see. Okay, that's enough sightseeing. Now it's time to hike. So today we're taking the Hidden Falls Trail on Jenny Lake in Grand Teton National Park. It's about a 5-mile round trip. Should be a pretty nice hike. Waterfall at the end, and then we head back. Towards the end of the hike, an oncoming hiker warned me about a bear. I would be lying if I said I wasn't excited. I grabbed my camera with one hand and my bear spray with the other. This is what happened next.
Right up around the corner, he said. Stay.
Hey, there's a bear.
Okay.
Right here? Okay.
Where?
I don't see it. Oh, I hear it.
Oh, it's
yep.
going that way.
Okay. Oh, yep, there he is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a little guy.
He's a killer young business,
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's back there behind the...
Yep, right there. Cool. Still on the hike back. Saw a bear a couple minutes ago, which was kind of cool. Was ready, had the bear spray and everything, but he was a little guy. Glad I didn't see a bigger one. It was pretty close, but it was really cool. It's wild out here.
The next day, I left Grand Teton and decided to swing through Old Faithful on the way to my next campsite. The amount of people here was truly astounding. A short while later, the geyser would erupt.
Time to eat. Delicious. Needs a little salsa though, which luckily I have. I think it's a prairie dog? Not sure. If I had to wager, I'd say prairie dog. I know, I dropped a bunch of food. I'm gonna pick it up. Okay, that just confirms everything for me. Unfortunately, I did spill some stuff while I was preparing. The wind blew the bag of cheese off the table. And then I dropped a couple pieces of onion and pepper over there. And if this little guy is into it, I imagine a bear would be too.
I spent some time cleaning up the campsite before giving my final sign-off for the night. Pretty much chilling at the campsite for the rest of the day. Leaving this campsite tomorrow, and then I'm heading up in the direction of Montana towards Glacier National Park. And yeah, that's that. I'll probably talk to the camera again tomorrow when I'm on my way to the next campsite. So, see you then. This is the longest, most horrible access road I've ever taken for a campsite. It's just been 8 miles of this washboard-like texture with the road. Ugh, feels like the car is being ripped apart. Ugh. Okay, that campground was full, so I have to go back down this horrible road again. That's alright, I didn't really want to camp there that badly anyway, because I would have had to do this a few more times, so yeah, okay. Nothing really gained, nothing really lost. Alright, we are on the hunt for another campsite. I've got 2 more places I can try, and after that, I am SOL, and I might have to find a hotel or something, but we'll see. I'm about 10 minutes out from the first campsite, and hopefully we'll get lucky. Alright, looking around, we're beat on this one, it looks like. I don't see any open sites at all. Alright, that's that. On to the next one.
One more and then we gotta find other places. Got lucky and found a pretty nice campsite. Didn't have to pay anything, it's just drive up and claim it, and this may be the nicest campsite I've ever stayed at, period. I think it's time to go for a quick swim. Alright, so that was going to the Sun Road. I think I'm good with the park for today, just because I gotta figure out where my campsite is. According to this, it's 2 hours away, even though I've kind of already been in. Everything is super spaced out around here. Like, even where I started the journey today, apparently that's like 2 hours away, so a little insane. I'm gonna go find something to eat. I've tried like 4 or 5 restaurants already, and they're either closed or they just don't have any seating available, so a little bummed about that. So yeah, I'm gonna make a plan for the next couple days. Try to do some sunrise trips for sure, and then I'll hit like little spots in the park after I do that. So yeah, anyway, gonna go on a little bit of a quest right now for food.
I'm just going to assume I found food because I don't actually have any footage of it. However, I do have the footage from later that day.
I think I said earlier that I was done with the park for the day, but little did I know, I'm camping in it, so time to set up the tent.
So I settled into my campsite for the night. And I was beginning to form a plan.
Alright, we're going to bed pretty soon. I'm gonna look up places to go for sunrise. And yeah, gonna get up pretty early for that. That's the plan for tomorrow. Alright, it is currently, I don't even know how early, it is 5 a.m. and we're gonna go check out the sunrise, see what we can see. So yeah, let's do this. camp, gonna nap for a couple hours, and then we're moving on to our next campsite. And then I'm gonna talk about what I've planned for tomorrow. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. It's a pretty big plan. We'll see if I can execute it, but yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm gonna go take a nap. Okay, so I'm at this campsite for the next couple days. Let's talk logistics for a couple minutes. I'm gonna hike to this place called Hidden Lake for sunrise. So, here's the thing. It's an hour and a half away from here, and I gotta be there early. Sunrise is at 5:30, which means I gotta be in position at the lake at 4:30, more or less, 4:45, let's say. Here's the other thing. It's an hour and a half away from here, so we gotta get up even earlier than that. It's about a mile hike. We gotta get up even earlier, that means. I'm giving myself, I think, a little too much time, but I'm getting up at like 12:30, maybe even midnight. I figure if I get 5-6-ish hours of sleep, I'll be good, because I can do the hike. Hike is only about 3 miles. Then I can come back and then rest up here afterwards, so that's the goal there. I've done something like this before. Last year when I hiked Franconia Ridge, I think my goal was boots on the ground at 2:30 a.m. and I did it for like 3:30 or something, so I'm gonna be a little bit more prepped this time. Right now I'm laying out everything I need, packing my bag, getting breakfast ready and everything. And I mean, I'll have an hour and a half in the car to eat and everything, so I'll be plenty prepared by the time I get there. I just have to get everything ready tonight, and then we'll be cracking on this sunrise in the morning. So yeah, that's the plan.
Unfortunately, even the best plans can fail.
All right, so that was a bust. It's 4 a.m. now, so I actually executed everything fairly well. Got up at 12:30, pretty much beelined here because I had all my stuff packed up already, and it's 3:45 right now. I'm not making it out to the lake because the trail's closed due to bear activity.
Unfortunately, I wouldn't get to see the sunrise that I wanted to. But later that day, I tried to see the sunset to make up for it.
Okay, so it was kind of a crappy day. I didn't think the sunset was gonna pan out too much because these pretty gloomy clouds set in for a while and kind of took over everything, but I was sitting at camp and the sun came back out, and I'm gonna go attempt to see the sunset. It's about an hour and a half drive, so I've spent like, geez, probably about 6 hours in the car today alone. At least 6 hours, but yeah, going towards the sunset, going up to, I believe it's 2 Medicine Lake. Gonna go see how this pans out, so hopefully it'll make up for, you know, missing the sunrise this morning, but yeah, we're gonna go find out.
I missed the sunset, but it was a fairly nice view anyway. I enjoyed it for a short while before returning to camp.
Okay, we're on the road again. Left the Glacier Park area this morning. Kind of bummed. I feel like I don't really have enough time in any place to really explore it fully. I could have spent easily another week in Glacier without really thinking about it. But I guess gives me reason to come back. So there's that, but we're moving through Idaho for the next couple days. I think the next couple days are going to be kind of boring, quite honestly, because all we're really doing is driving from campsite to campsite and just staying there for the day, really. I'm gonna have to look for other things to do around, like state parks or attractions or cool views and whatever, but yeah, I'm expecting a boring couple of days, and yeah, then we'll be in Oregon. I don't really know how to say it, apparently. And things will get a little better from there, because then we'll be traveling down the coast. I'm really excited to travel down the coast and camping on the beach for at least a night, so it's gonna be cool. But yeah, we're chugging right along, and let's keep her going, I think. So I was originally gonna be at my campsite in like an hour and a half, but it seemed like a pretty boring area, and I'll still have like a lot of time left in the day to kind of just be doing nothing, so not super into it. But I'm looking at other campsites I can stay at,
and I found a place that has electric hookup so I can charge a bunch of stuff, and it's a little bit further of a drive. It'll be another 3 hours on the road or so, but I think that's all right, just because it'll give me something to do. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. Yeah, so on the road for another 4-ish hours, and then we're at camp for the night. Moving on. So I was thinking it was just kind of a cloudy day, but apparently there's wildfires in the area, and that's why it's all cloudy and gloomy, not due to the weather. Fires. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. We'll see if I can continue on my normal route, but yeah, apparently I'm going through a wildfire, so fingers crossed. Let's see how this is, see how interesting this is. So I'm on my way to the campsite and I stumble upon this pretty cool viewpoint. Apparently sunset's at 8:30 and it's about 7:30 now, so it is the golden hour, and I'm gonna stick around here till the sun fully sets and then I'll continue on to camp. So yeah. While waiting for the sunset, a few low-flying planes went overhead. I assumed that they were related to the firefighting effort. And finally, it was time for the sunset. Okay, it's morning. I'm on my way to my next campsite, and it is way more hazy here than yesterday. Like, actually last night, you couldn't really tell that there was a fire nearby, but this morning I wake up and it reeks of a campfire pretty much everywhere, and it's really hazy. So I guess I'll kind of show you how hazy it is real quick. I'm at the same viewpoint that I photographed the sunset from last night, and it's a different view entirely. Oh yeah, I smell smoke. Yeah, so that kind of shows you how hazy it is over there. There, that's kind of a good idea of how it is. It's not cloudy, it's all smoke. Anyway, gotta move on. I'm gonna get driving, and who knows? Who knows what today will hold? Driving along, and I found something kind of interesting. Can't really tell, but it looks like it burned recently-ish. It was an interesting find, but it was time to continue. My destination for the night was Walker Cabin, nestled in the middle of the Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest. I did take a walk around inside for a minute already, and it is pretty nice, pretty peaceful. It's kind of weird. It's built like it had power at one point, but it definitely doesn't now. Because, I mean, obviously there's no power lines or anything around, but it's hooked up like it was. Maybe it ran off a generator or something. Maybe it can still run off of a generator. I'm really not sure. Let me look around. I don't see any place to hook a generator up. It looks like just some rustic cabin. No, I don't see anything. Maybe back in the day there were power lines, but wonder why they'd take them down. Expensive to maintain or something? Yeah, I don't see anything, but I don't know. I'll give a tour of the cabin in a little bit, but I'm gonna do it like this. Oh man, you guys are here already? What's up? I'm Nick, and this is my crib. So, I liked this idea way more before I actually tried filming it. None of the jokes I filmed are funny. Except maybe this one. Alright, so we come into the house and we've got the living room. You may notice it's a little dark in here, and that's because I don't pay the electric bill because electricity is for posers. Never mind, I'm still cringing. Look, I didn't even know what the hell I was doing then. It was a pretty small cabin with a few rooms, so I guess we'll just go through those real quick. The living room, chill spot, kitchen, master bathroom, master bedroom. All jokes aside, it is a very nice, cozy little cabin. It's almost like a little eerie even, like, I don't know, something is wigging me out about staying in a secluded cabin in the middle of the woods by myself, but I don't know, that's just really all in my head. Lots of people stay here. There's like a little guest logbook. It's a nice cabin. It's gonna be a good night, I think. Get out of here pretty early in the morning, and then we'll be into Oregon. I think my next big goal is going to be getting to Crater Lake. I think it's still another day or two of traveling away, but anyway, I'm going to kind of chill out the rest of the night, do a little writing, mess around on the computer a little bit, and talk to you tomorrow when I'm moving. I had reached the state of Oregon. At this point, I was only about a day or two away from the coast. So I drove as much as possible and made a few pit stops along the way. Okay, it's been a boring couple days of travel, but we're finally almost at the coast. I'm actually like a stone's throw from the coast right now, like probably not even a quarter or an eighth of a mile to my right is the ocean. So I'm sitting here because I'm actually stuck in traffic for a little bit because they closed off one of the northern parts of Route 101, which is the route which goes along the coast. They closed off for construction, and they said it's going to be about an hour and a half before it reopens. That was about a half hour ago, so I planned for a 6-hour drive today from my old campsite to tonight's campsite where I'll be camping on the coast, which is going to be nice. And this hour and a half detour was kind of just in the middle of it. And aside from that, there's really no way around, so I really just have to wait it out. And I'm in line with like 70 to 100 other cars. It looks like all just waiting for this thing to open back up, but then we're getting to the coast, and then we are, yeah, moving on from there. We go down the coast for a couple days, then we swing over to go more inland, go towards Las Vegas, and then we're heading back east and just kind of taking our sweet time getting home after that. So yeah, that's what's going on.
Right on the edge of the gold mines. Then you start doing some hills, then you do canyons.
A short while later, the road would reopen, and I would finally reach my destination. From here, I was starting to head back east, and my next destination was Las Vegas. So earlier on in the trip, I did something kind of stupid. I'm going to get right to it and say, I left the West Coast without ever swimming in the Pacific Ocean. And because I'm weird and I feel like I needed to be able to say that I swam on both coasts, I decided to go back to the coast. Unfortunately, after this, disaster would strike. So we've got a little bit of a situation. So the other night, Saturday night, I was driving to my campsite right by Los Angeles, and I'm going down the highway, and I look down and my oil light is on. Drive for about another 30 seconds, and the car shuts down, and I'm stuck on the side of the road. I go and I look under the car, and there's oil everywhere under the car. Right before the car shut off, I heard some belt squeal, and it was really, really rough, the engine. So I got it towed that night, Saturday night, to a repair shop. Pretty much had to wait yesterday out because the repair shop was closed all day yesterday, and it's Monday now. And I just got word about an hour or two ago that unfortunately the car is dead. Rest in peace. So that opens up a couple of challenges for us now. Got to figure out a couple things. I'm in Bakersfield, California right now, which is 2,700 miles away from my home in Connecticut, so I've got to figure out how to get all my stuff home, how to get rid of the car, or how to ship the car home. Oh boy. This is gonna be a nightmare. I partially expected it just because like before I was leaving I was like I should buy a new car because my car is not gonna last me to California and back, and I'm sad to say that I was right about that, but it's whatever. I'll get home, I'll find a new vehicle at some point, and then we'll be good. Right now I gotta work the problem of getting all my stuff back home and then getting myself home though, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm in this hotel for one more night. I should have mostly everything figured out by tomorrow because I've got a couple of plans I'm toying around with. Plan 1 is to load the entire car into a truck and then drive the truck home, but I don't know how much that costs exactly. I'm finding quotes all over the place. If I want to just have my car transported home, it'll cost me anywhere from like $1,200 to $1,700, and then I still have to fly back. So that's an option I'm considering. What's looking like the most likely though is I'll scrap the car here, I'll rent a pickup truck or a van or something for like 5-6 days, drive myself home, drop off the van there, and then I have all my stuff there. Then I just have to worry about finding a new car. It's that or I ship everything UPS and then fly home, but I think that's going to be a pain because like I've got the big cooler in the back. I can put a bunch of stuff in the cooler, but I've still got a few other big crates in the back. I don't know, I feel like I should be more bummed about my car breaking down, but I don't know. There's something about like the logistics challenge, the kind of puzzle I have to piece together that I dig. I don't know, like I guess the car isn't a huge deal. I can always get another car. Gonna be going home a little sooner than expected though, that's the only thing. So I went to Vegas and then I backtracked to the coast just because I hadn't like gone swimming or really properly enjoyed it just because it was kind of crappy and cloudy. And I was gonna drive back to Vegas and then go to a couple places like the Hoover Dam and see the Grand Canyon and that kind of stuff, but it's not happening now, but it gives me a reason to come back out, so that's where I'm at right now. I really wish I had a big grand story about how I got rid of the car and what I did from here, but I really don't. I went with option 2, which was rent a bigger vehicle, empty the car, and drive me and all my stuff home. After emptying my car, I would give it a final send-off. Weird, I'm sort of sad to see her go. It's been 5 or 6 years in this car, and she's done. She's a hell of a mess right now, but she's been of good service. Gonna miss ya. Anyway. So that's it. We're at the end of the story. It's a little unfortunate that I didn't get to end it the way I had originally planned, but that's alright, because that's just part of the journey sometimes. Over the last few weeks, I've seen some incredible sights, and I managed to add a few photos to my portfolio that I'm very satisfied with. This was an incredible trip, and I don't regret a single moment of it. And of course, I'm always excited for my next trip. And I think it's going to be a good one. It's been something I've been planning for quite a while. So, goodbye for now. And I'll see you next time for my next adventures in accidental tourism.